Hi, this is Naomi with Baker's Royale. Today I've partnered with Daisy Sour Cream to share with you my Christmas tree peekaboo cake. This is one of my favorite cakes to make for the holidays. It's a family tradition in my home and I'm excited to share it with you so you can bring it into your home. I'm gonna start with the green part of the cake. That's the peekaboo inside. So we're gonna start by mixing our ingredients. Some salt, some baking soda and some baking powder, that's your leavener. And then we're gonna add in the flour, whisk it up, and set it aside. Okay, so next up, we're gonna do the wet ingredients. So we'll start with the sugar. We're gonna cream the sugar and butter. Once it's nice and fluffy, we'll add in the Daisy Sour Cream. This is one of the ingredients that allows you to make this cake 2 to 3 days ahead of time. It will stay moist, it will stay nice, it will stay delicious. Give the bowl a quick scrape, and then we're gonna work in our eggs one at a time. Oftentimes when I'm working with a cake or any sort of batter, I'll finish with just a spatula. That'll prevent you from overworking the batter and then coming out with a tough cake or a cookie that's not soft and chewy. Okay, now that we have our wet ingredients done and our dry ingredients done, we're just gonna combine the two. And you can dump this in all at once. Okay, so you wanna fold this just until you don't see any more flour streaks or any flour pockets. Okay, so we're gonna add in the green food coloring for the Christmas tree. Here's an important thing to remember. Start slow when you mix your color. You can always add more, but you can never take it out. Okay, so now that the batter is mixed, I like the green color. I'm not gonna add any more food coloring into it. I'm gonna pour it into our loaf pan that is simply lined with parchment paper. The parchment paper will just make it so it's easy to lift out when you're done. Okay, scrape your batter in and just smooth out the top a little bit. Okay, so now that you've scraped your batter into the pan, you've smoothed out the top, we're going to bake this at 325 for about 60 to 65 minutes. All right, so we are going on round 2. This is exactly the same cake. So we're gonna start with the dry ingredients again. Okay, so we've got the dry ingredients done. We're going to move on to the wet ingredients. So here's the thing, everyone wants to have a beautiful cake. I certainly do, but the thing you have to remember when you're baking with kids is you want to make it fun. You want to make it so they want to come back into the kitchen with you. Okay, so let's cream the butter and add in the Daisy Sour Cream. Remember, this is the key to keeping this cake moist. Okay, so add your eggs in one at a time again. Last bit, add in your vanilla, we'll mix it up. All right, so now we are back to our wet batter and our dry batter. We're gonna combine the two. Okay, so the batter is mixed. We're going to use some Christmas sprinkles. I used Jimmy sprinkles today. The kind you want to avoid are the little round nonpareils. What happens with those is when you fold them in, they start to bleed into your batter. And if you're unsure if whether or not your sprinkles bleed, just use a little bit of test. Put some batter into a bowl, mix it up, and if you see no streaks, then you're safe to go. We're gonna move back to our green cake and stamp out our Christmas tree. You wanna have a baking sheet lined with parchment ready so that when you're done with your cutouts, you have a place to put them on. Here's a fast and easy way to measure out the width of your cookie cutter. Just put it down, you can score it, you can cut as you go. If you're working with young kids, to avoid using a knife, I use a lettuce knife with my kids. It's a plastic knife. They can't cut themselves, but there is enough of an edge that you can cut through the cake. Okay, so now that we have all of our slices cut out, you still want to use the ends. Just stamp it out. You can push them out onto your baking sheet. So set your cake scraps aside. They're nice to snack on while you're working. This works for any holiday. I especially like doing it for Christmas. It's what I started the recipe with, and it's the one that my kids most get excited for. Okay, now that we have all the cutouts ready, you're going to get your pan. Just going to put a portion of the batter into the bottom of the pan, and then we're going to rest the cutouts on top. Take your Christmas trees that you've cut out and just start stacking them in together. Okay, so important tip. You have to use the same pan. Otherwise, if you use a pan that's a little bit bigger, it gets a little bit messy. The trees start to go topsy-turvy, but since we use the same pan, you can see that they stand up nicely. Then we're just going to gently scoop in the rest of the batter around the Christmas tree. Don't worry about covering the whole Christmas tree portion. As the cake bakes, the batter will rise and cover it. And that's it. We are going to put this into the oven at 325 for 60 to 65 minutes, and then we'll be all set. All right, the fun part, the cake is cooled. We are going to frost it and sprinkle it. For the frosting, I'm using a simple American buttercream. So just put some on here and spread it according to what your preference is. I like a good amount with mine. All right, so now that you have your beautiful swirls, we are just going to put on some sprinkles. This is always the fun part that my kids fight over. All right, now that we have this beautifully swirled and the sprinkles are on, we are going to cut through this so that we can all see the fun part, which is the peekaboo part. All right, and there you go. There is our peekaboo Christmas tree cake. So the Christmas tree is a tradition in our family. You can, of course, use any cutout that you want. A snowman or snowflake works just as well. Whatever you do, have fun, and I hope you make this a tradition in your home.